I'm Miss Chrissie.
And I'm Steve.
You're listening to JAGcast, episode 145, the podcast of the Jenkintown Arts Garage.
Where we explore the intersection of the arts and technology. And today we're more on the arts side of things because we're going to be talking about a current event in our world that's very personal to you. It's kind of in my world, but not directly relevant to me. And that is the closing of University of the Arts.
That's right.
UArts.
That's right. So my alma mater closed abruptly just a few days ago and kind of sent the arts community into a little bit of a tailspin, not a little bit, a lot of it, and brought up some important questions about higher ed as well, and kind of the future of higher education and stability of it, rather.
And my day job is works at a university at Drexel University
in Philly.
In Philly, so I'm familiar with UArts, not as familiar as you are because you actually went there. But we both know a lot of people that went to UArts, more than I realized we knew. But they started popping up all over our social media feeds when this happened.
Yeah, it's been, I think I have run into more names from, 20 years ago in the past week than I ever imagined. And, it's wild. And also just kind of, running into people that I didn't even know were UArts alumni that were came before me that, have reputations in the, regional dance community as teachers or performers. And I'm like, oh, snap. They went there in the 90s or they went there in the late 80s. And, it's been kind of wild.
What's UArts famous for? Like, if you were not in the Philly region, you might have still know what some of the people that you were, from there, right?
Who, me? Wait, I don't understand. People. What's the question?
What is UArts known for? If you don't live in the Philadelphia area, if you're not in academia or higher ed, what would you know UArts for? Like, who would you know went there or
was associated? Would you know,
what makes it famous?
Oh, what makes it famous? I don't know. Is it actually famous? Jared Leto went there for a year.
There you go. That makes it. Who else? Didn't they have some high profile instructors?
Yes, you know who it is. Camille Paglia was a professor there.
Like pulling teeth, man.
I wasn't.
Yes, Camille Paglia famously.
Curry, Mr. Curry.
Curry.
Curry. Was a who is also a Jenkintown resident. That's who the bridge is named after.
Yeah,
the bridge, the raincoat.
There's a little bridge in where we live that took like gazillion years to build.
Yeah, he was a professor there.
Yeah, so I'm saying. I mean, even if you didn't live, you don't live in the Philly region, you may not realize that you are aware of famous people who have graduated there or taught there. And I think, Camille Paglia is probably the biggest name from academia. I don't think I think she was already like emeritus or something when this happened because I haven't kept up with it.
She doesn't teach there anymore.
Well, of course not. It's closed now. But even before that. But anyway, that's probably the highest profile person. But lots of people we know. You, of course, are the most famous person on this podcast that is associated with UArts.
That is accurate.
Yes. The one and only Miss Chrissie.
Yeah, that's me. I loved UArts. I had such a great experience there. I can't even tell you. It was I loved it. I loved everything about it. I had an amazing dance education. I made connections that continue to be beneficial to me as an artist and as a dancer, and also musicians and visual artists and painters and all sorts of people you run into and that went to school there. And Philly was at that time, Philly was a great place to be a young artist. It really was. It was big enough and it was small enough at the same time. And the UArts I went to is not the same UArts that closed a week ago. Obviously, that was
well,
25 years ago almost. So
And it's been like this rapidly developing story with a lot of craziness in it. Do you want to go to the article?
yeah, why don't you pull up the article and you can read it because I forgot my glasses.
Well, there's an article
Or
here
skim
that
it here.
it's in the, I guess, the education section of the Philadelphia Inquirer, and this was published June 7th. So it's a few days ago. And it's titled UArts Sudden Closure Was a Shock, but Not a Big Surprise in the Turbulent Higher Ed Landscape. So there's a nice little box here. We can kind of quickly give the audience a rundown of what we know. So May 31st, University of Arts just announced that it was going to be closing on June 7th. And all it said, the message just said, the school had an urgent financial crisis, and eventually we found out, I guess, that it would have taken $40 million. But no, as far as I know, there's no details about what this urgent financial crisis was. Then the UArts president, shortly after this, within days, right? Or weeks, days. Yeah, this happened. Carrie Walker resigned, of course.
But she was only president for like less than a month.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. And then she's just crazy upon crazy. Then there was some lawsuits started by employees and apparently some students here. It says more than 20 employees, 14 students. Then we learned that Temple is exploring a merger to try to save UArts, which makes a lot of sense. We can talk about that, why that makes sense. Now, apparently, Philadelphia City Council is calling for hearings on how it collapsed suddenly. And then Philadelphia Inquirer goes in a little bit more into how it's not a big surprise given how turbulent the higher ed landscape is. And then they down here lower in the article, they have some little charts here to show Cabrini versus UArts. Cabrini is another school that just closed recently. That they announced their closure far in advance, though. So,
which is why they didn't. So, okay. So the deal is that UArts, at least at the initial information we were getting, they lost their accreditation, which is why they had to close a week after the announcement. And the reason they lost their accreditation is because they didn't have a teach out plan. I believe that's what it's called, or transition plan or something like that.
When the news first broke, it was confusing because it was like the middle states, I guess, is a set like kind of broke it, and it was confusing about like who broke it first, and the accreditation. At first, it seemed like it was being reported that the accreditation was getting pulled, and that's why it was closing, but that's not why. It was closing suddenly without warning, and that's why the accreditation was pulled, I guess. The whole thing happened so rapidly and suddenly. I've never seen anything like it. I mean,
it's wild.
It is totally wild.
The students and the staff and the professors, they all found out through the Inquirer.
Yeah, that's just completely unacceptable. You know, but in this article here, they talk about enrollment trends, and you can see, according to the Inquirer here, this bar chart, they say there's similar downward trends with Cabrini having a big drop, but that's probably they say in the articles because they announced a closure in advance. But you can see this drop off here, and compared to UArts, it's not too dissimilar. In fact, Cabrini, UArts had, it was roughly the same. Look at this, so not a lot of students, but it's not like it dropped to zero overnight.
Right. So UArts is not a large school by any stretch of the imagination. So, but it was, it's like it's a conservatory program in the performing arts, and it's an art school, so it's not the same as if you were in a dance department in Drexel or Temple, or even some of the ones with larger dance departments. You can only get a Bachelor of Fine Arts. You cannot get that's the only choice. There's no like traditional BA there. So like the requirements are much more intense on the practical part of your major versus the the academic piece that you might have in another type of university. But
so whatever this urgent financial crisis was.
I did hear a rumor that it was
Oh.
that they found out that one of the buildings that they don't have a mortgage on. Now, this is just like what I've heard through.
Like they lease it?
No,
Or
I
they own
think
it?
they own one of the buildings, and it has a major structural problem that would
Okay.
cost lots of money to fix.
Yeah, but that
I
wouldn't
don't
cause
know
you
if
to.
that's
Well, that
true.
wouldn't necessarily cause you to shut down right away. It would cause you to shut the building
No,
down, maybe. But so that's
I don't
just
know.
a rumor. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even speculate what it is. It's so bizarre that no one will just say what the freaking financial crisis is. Like, why won't someone just say it? I read a report that like a member of the board of trustees didn't know. I was like, who knows what is this financial crisis? I still don't know. I'm very confused by how you can have an unknown financial crisis. Well, no, somebody knows it. Obviously, they're just not telling anybody for some reason. It's very, very peculiar. But then the other rumor was that, as I said in the article, was $40 million to save it, which is a lot of money, but not really compared to a lot of other schools. So very, very strange. Just seems like, man, I don't even know. It's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, the school, I don't know, was not managed properly. I think that's pretty safe to say. That
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, you don't abruptly close. You don't have like a $40 million hole, if that's true. You don't have like a urgent financial crisis out of nowhere. Usually, I mean, I guess anything's possible. Like an asteroid could hit your campus or something, but like, I just never seen anything like this before, where a university or any like large firm, because it's a pretty, it's not huge, but it's like thousands of students are there.
Yep.
Right? Any given time, like dozens or more faculty. Right, and
I think there's
staff,
600 faculty and staff.
hundreds of faculty and staff, and it's like it's just crazy. So this whole thing has been nutty, and it's the question that the Inquirer is basically asking here and implying, and it kind of comes to my mind because I'm not associated with UArts, but is this some unique one-off, or is this part of a trend? Because Cabrini, closed too, but not in its uncontrolled manner like this. But is it because UArts just uniquely had a unique problem or something, or is this like a trend because higher education is undergoing significant strains? If you are not aware,
I would not be surprised if this is not a trend. Maybe not in this, kind of wackadoo way, like just kind of like out of nowhere, like. But
well,
I don't know. Higher ed. I mean, you say that all the time. There's issues in
yeah.
higher ed with enrollment dropping off, and
Well, higher education we've known for years there was a demographic cliff approaching because there just weren't enough kids in the region, weren't enough getting to the right age to go to college. Like you can know this in advance because of demographic data. So you can see like if there's not enough people born at in an area where there's not enough of people of kids of a certain age, you can just project like, well, we're not going to have enough people. So if your school is something like a lot of the schools that are more regional based, they rely on tuition, they rely on kids, students from the geographic area. Then you can see like if the demographics say there's not going to be a lot of 18-year-olds, graduating high school, at some year, you can see there's a demographic cliff because there's going to be less students, and the existing colleges have to compete for them. So we've known that, but then the 2020 like overreaction, I guess in retrospect now, happened, and it decimated lots of companies and lots of industries, and higher education got brutalized by it. I mean, the schools shut down and went remote for long periods of time, and I think the demographic cliff, that plus if you've seen all the turmoil in higher education recently with the protests that have been happening, the on campuses, the way like the Harvard president and some other presidents went in front of Congress and embarrassed themselves, and like these.
I think some of it has to do with the cost too.
Yeah, and the
cost
cost,
is
yeah.
it's so much now. You have to really think: is it worth? Is it worth the cost?
Well, this is my point.
Debt,
This is my point. When you look at it, when you look at all of these factors, the price, The administrators beclowning themselves, students protesting, like, beclowning themselves on campuses. And you're like, is this worth it anymore? What am I getting out of this anymore? I'm spending all this money. What am I getting out of it? And, but it's also strange that like higher education financing is not the sticker price. Most students aren't
No,
paying sticker
I don't
price.
know anybody who
So
pays.
it's hard to compare like any individual student. You can't necessarily know in advance like what the cost is going to be to that particular student, especially even over 4 or 5 years in school. But it's still gone up. It's gone up a lot.
Well,
And
the tuition at UArts when I went there,
yeah,
it's not a state school, so obviously it's higher than like a state school is. When I went there, it was 21,000, which at the time was a lot. Like felt
yeah,
like a lot, and now it's over 50.
yeah. So higher education is it. I think students and parents are right to question whether it's worth going to college. I mean, I work at a university as a day job. Um, so, I think universities have value, but it's not like I don't think it's equally valuable for all possible students. Like I think we pushed generations of kids into the higher education world when a lot of them were being better off doing something else. And, they got some debt and they got basically useless degrees. And, you know, now maybe I think a lot of students and parents are thinking twice, because I don't think you should go to college if you can't afford it. I don't think you should go to college if you don't actually need to go to college. Like not we're not talking about like the very most elite schools. There's other reasons why you go to that school besides necessarily education. But if you're not in a curriculum that needs a college degree, then you probably go better off going somewhere else. Like there's a lot of we talked about this on the podcast thing before, like years ago. I think we mentioned that there's a real demand for more trades people, and like that would be more like tech schools and type of thing, and those types of schools like short term training and also like internships or apprenticeships and that kind of thing. That, but that's not what's promoted to students. It's still always promoted. You should go to college. You should go to college. You should go to college. And then when you
Now,
go to,
I
yeah,
went to college for would have been considered and still
yep.
is considered a useless degree, and my degree has been far from useless. I will say that.
Why though? Why
Why
has
has
a
my
dance? Is a degree in dance, right?
Yes, I have a degree in dance.
But
Um,
why has it not been useless?
it has not been useless. One, I got the technical training through college to really one, was able to perform professionally, which was one of my like major dreams as a younger artist. I would not have been able to do that without that training. Now, granted, you could somehow create your own training program by going to adult, you know, professional dance schools on your own, but it would be much much more difficult and quite expensive. I don't know, if you were paying per class per day. And also all the connections I made at UArts have been very, very valuable. Um, Also, has been a great resource for me, even as a business owner. Like I currently have myself and 3 other UArts graduates that work for me, all from different generations. So I have one who's in her 20s, one who's in her 30s, myself, I'm in my 40s, and a woman in her 50s. And every single one of them has been stellar teachers, well trained, reliable, great workers, punctual, gets their stuff in on time.
So
I have
how
no complaints.
but
I will be
a
really
degree,
sad when I lose that as a resource.
yeah, but a degree in dance though for most people who go through the program, do you think that it is worth it? Like, do you think they end up in a successful career related to that training, directly related to that training, that can support them, or no, or do you just have no idea?
I have no idea what the percentage
Because
is of how many
I
people are still working. But how many
so
people are still working in IT that you graduated with? It's probably a similar percentage. I mean, I'm sure some of the people you graduated with went on to some other random job, like
well,
got out of IT.
but like the question is like what percentage, you know? So
I don't
something like
know the
something like
percentage.
dance for me, I think it was valuable to you because you started dance studio. If you're it's see the thing it's like if you want to be like a professional athlete in anything, it's similar to that. You do need to have talent and you need to have training, but the likelihood that you will succeed and become a professional is very low. Or the likelihood that you will get to a high enough level of professional competition to be able to make like a lot of money is like low. So
Yeah,
mostly
always low.
so that's what makes a degree in something like that much more of a gamble. I think in your case, you made it less of a gamble because you went into to business. So you took your education and you geared it towards the most profitable avenue I think you probably could do with a dance degree, which is starting a successful dance studio, which is difficult to do. But you couldn't do that without enough training to be sick because you couldn't provide enough instruction. You wouldn't understand the world. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you probably would want
Right.
that. So I think that's why it works for you. But I don't know how many students who go through like a program like that end up being successful, and that's why you gotta question the cost based on the degree you're getting and what you're trying to do. And you also said you got connections, so that means UArts function more like an elite school would
Yeah,
in
there were
that
a lot
regard.
of connections.
Yeah,
And
which is not necessarily. I mean, everybody gets some connections, but if you go to a lower tier school and they're you're not necessarily going to make really great connections necessarily. If you go to like the community college or something, you can get some useful education, but you might not come out of it with like connections, or you might. But I think the higher the tier and the more specialized it is, then the more likely that you're going to get some professional connections out of it.
yeah, I mean, a ton of professional connections out of it.
Yeah, I think UArts was considered like a very high
It's a top
tier.
10 dance
Yeah,
school.
so that's what I mean. Like, and so it's like UArts to me was teaching a bunch of useless stuff.
Yeah,
No,
to
I'm just
you.
kidding. It's not totally. No, I'm just kidding a little bit. I mean, it wasn't totally
You're
useless,
not
but
actually kidding though. But that's
mostly
okay.
it's mostly it's like stuff we could it's stuff that I question the value of a degree in it, but in a lot of it. But it was considered a high in its space. It was a very high tier institution
Yes.
in the arts. Yes, I
In
mean.
the arts. Yes.
But it's not like
And
one of those. It's not like one of those make believe degrees that people get a lot of times in the like a liberal arts college where they make up something like degree in like social justice nonsense or something like that.
no,
No,
it's a
you actually have to do
a
training and sweat and stuff.
yeah, many hours a
So
day. It was amazing.
yeah, many hours a day. What else did UArts teach? Like, what were the other big degree programs at UArts?
So there was so the history of UArts is that it was the Performing Arts College, and oh god, I'm gonna say I don't know much about the visual arts. I'm very sorry, but
You mean like painting and
yeah,
photography and
there was oh my god, this is embarrassing. You're gonna have to Google it. Google what the combination was of
Google it? What about
yeah,
combination of what?
it was University of the Arts was the merger of the like Philadelphia Academy of the Fine Arts and the Philadelphia Academy of the Performing Arts or something like that.
Okay.
So at UArts, there's the performing side and then there's the visual art side. So on the performing arts side, you could be a dance major, a theater major, a musical theater major, a music major. There was voice when I was there. There was you could like have a composition major for music composition. On the visual art side, there were all the visual arts, like including like things in the like animation, and then there was
Well, here's the
um
here's the Wikipedia
painting
article.
and yeah,
Now we know
painting and
here's a Wikipedia article. Assuming this is correct, it says it was the Philadelphia Musical Academy was created in 1870, and then 1876 the Pennsylvania Museum and School of Industrial Art was founded as a museum and art school in 1877. The Philadelphia Conservatory of Music was founded. And then we jump forward. The museum changed its name, 1938. And then 44, we had the Philadelphia Dance Academy.
No, it was when it was PCPA was the Performing Arts.
There you go, 85.
College of Performing Arts. Yep.
Philadelphia Museum College of Art and Philadelphia College of Performing Arts merged.
Yep, there you go.
To the
PMA
Philadelphia Colleges.
And PCPA. Yep.
Yeah, of the art. There's all so many P's in the names. And then in 1996, it added a third academic division, the Media and Communication.
Yes.
And then in 2011, the College of Media and Communication merged with the College of Art and Design to become College of Art and Media Design. So, but when did it actually become like University of? When did it call the name University of the Arts?
It was when PCPA, the Philadelphia College of Performing Arts, and the one PMA.
Oh, okay, there it is. I misread it. It's like in 87. It gained university. Okay, so it gained university. There's like a weird thing. People may not know this, but like the concept of college and a university are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like university status is when it changed its name in 1987. So since 1987, it's been University of Arts. So it's not like a really old school or anything within this current format, but it's not like born yesterday or something. So that's crazy. And if you look at its entire academic pedigree, it in some way looks like the DNA goes back to like 1870.
Yep.
Which is, that's why everybody is. I mean, that's part of why everybody's upset about it, because it's had such
150 years or something.
So that's why they say it's 100. Yeah, and then and it's had declining enrollment, and like a lot of universities have. And I think, and as I said, because
a great shirt though that says undefeated since 1876 or something like that.
You have to amend it now to be undefeated until 2024.
Well, there's no sports team, so that's why they're undefeated.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think so. What do you think the cause of like the decline in enrollment is? So, I mean, yes, I think a lot of the degree programs that University Arts and other art specific colleges have are questionable value to most people, because it's more like a gamble given the price that you have. Do you think that's the main reason though? Because I don't think that's necessarily the main reason, because I don't. It doesn't seem to me like a lot of people, maybe until very recently, really cared about how much anything costs, because it was very easy to get money, very easy to get loans and stuff. So
I have a feel like I suspect COVID actually had a lot to do with it. I think I don't know. I feel like a lot of stuff just got messed up. I don't know. Like, did any universities like blossom after COVID? Or are they all dwindling? I don't know.
I think they've all had some problems. So, but it's like, if you were interested in the arts, performing arts or visual arts, you probably, if you're like really serious about doing it professionally, you still might want to go to college.
Yeah.
So like, and it's not like it was ever a big college. So I feel like it wasn't like nobody's interested in that anymore, or willing to take that gamble.
I don't know, man.
But so I don't know. I think COVID really
definitely
messed things
got
up.
Fancier.
Oh, fancier. You think that was part of it? That's something that a lot of universities have done last 15 years, whatever.
It definitely got fancier from when I was there.
More investment in like the buildings and fancy stuff on campus.
My senior year, they opened this building called the Terra Building, which was beautiful, and it had many floors of different majors. But it was like, it's gorgeous, beautiful. But before that, like the dance department was in this building called 309, and it was like, I mean, I don't know. I think back and I'm like, how did I walk in this place and be like, oh, I really want to go here? Like, it's like, it wasn't like painted, and I think it smelled like feet, and they had like lockers from like 1974 in it. I mean, like, it wasn't fancy, but I mean, it was beautiful in that the rooms were really big and they had decent floors, and you had really large windows in the studios. So that was nice because you were overlooking Broad Street. But there was nothing fancy about it, but it was
universities, I think, have had to compete more and more for students. So they kind of went on this building frenzy. Now, my view is a part of the building frenzy, like literally building new buildings and putting fancier
And
equipment and stuff
dorms.
in,
They didn't
and
have, like,
dorms. Yeah,
dorms. We
I
had, like,
think
2 dorms.
well, like I think part of it though is because of all the money sloshing around the higher
Yeah.
ed system, and it just and then the increased competition for dwindling numbers of students. You combine the two, and it's just like let's try to build a fancy gym, and we'll see if that keeps the kids here. Let's build let's build some fancy new glass buildings, and it's like I feel like a lot of universities might have lost their way, but I don't know. With UArts in particular, though, I know it's not like they were building many buildings, but I mean
No. I mean, they had, like
they were
no, they had
growing.
I have no
At the,
idea
well, they
how
weren't
many
growing
buildings they had,
for a while,
but,
but I mean, at the point they probably had to build something. Like you have to build dorms. Like even Drexel had dorms. I think they built more dorms over the years. They had to renovate old dorms because like you got to have a safe place for people to stay when they're like living on campus. But do you think the building frenzy and I think I wrapped that up with the competition for students as part of the reason that the university was having money problems, like in
I
a
don't
very
know. I
broad
mean, they
sense.
did all that a while ago. I have no idea, Steve, but I do know that it did get, like, a little I feel like it was, like, really
Yeah,
it was not much to look at when I went there,
yeah.
by today's standards.
Well,
Like, I mean, it was fine. I went to other universities and, like, the dance studios at UArts were still nicer because they were just so, like, spacious, but,
yeah.
it definitely was not, like, fancy. I saw so my daughter, I was telling my middle daughter all about this, like, when it was happening. I was like, "Oh my god," like, she was like, what are you like, I just kept talking to my phone, like when it first was breaking. I was like, oh my God, this, that, and the other thing. And she saw some TikTok. It was some
Of course, TikTok
freshman.
has a take on it.
Yeah, it was some girl who was supposed to be a freshman dance major. And she's like, oh, and I went there and it was so beautiful. And I was like looking at this girl and she's like doing like a makeup tutorial at the same time, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this kid is so much fancier than than
So
I don't know, maybe just the
you
way
know,
kids are today. I have no idea." Like,
I wonder if there's something to what you're saying because it's like so you make it fancier, as you say, you put more money into the facilities, you attract a different type of customer or student potentially, right? And I had a similar thought to like when I was doing karate and like the like the dojos, like like not always like the fanciest places or anything, and it was like the most hardcore people would be going to like dojos that were just nothing special, nothing fancy at all. Had like the bare minimum. You know what I mean? They were not like these wealthy locations, and it's because they were there for the martial art. They were there for the work, and I wonder if the type of student has changed over the years
I don't
partially
know.
because of this. And so maybe you were getting students that see me. I think sometimes like maybe the college crisis that people talk about with the costs and everything, it's because at least somewhat because some of the students taking these degrees probably shouldn't have taken those degrees. Like, and they wouldn't have if they weren't kind of like going to that university for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to be a
Mm.
dance major, I would want to be like super hardcore into dance.
Well, I don't know if that's
Otherwise,
100% true though, because I mean, I think the level of intensity for the auditions actually increased over the years
I should have to
as they're
audition.
like, oh yeah, as their like reputation, kept growing.
Maybe it
Like
doesn't
what it
apply. Maybe my half baked hypothesis doesn't apply to UArts, but
I don't know.
but I
I
mean,
mean, I know it wasn't like it wasn't. I know the standards were still very high in
yeah.
terms of like what the technical,
Well, that's
you
good
know.
because, but it is true though, like that
Maybe
businesses to some
kids are
degree,
just fancier now.
maybe, but businesses of all sorts, including colleges, they do have a role. They do have an influence in what type of customer they attract. It's like the type of customer that goes to Walmart is not exactly the same as goes to Target, which is not
I
exactly the
went
same
to
as like
Walmart today,
someone else.
and I don't like Walmart generally just because I don't like the shopping experiences,
Right,
but
because they
the
don't focus on
prices
that. They
were
focus.
so good.
Yes,
I'm
that's what
gonna
they
have to
do.
go again.
Yeah, yeah. So Walmart focuses on prices. Target is always like a little more expensive, but they have a little bit better of a shopping experience, and then you
Yes.
go to like the
And
fancier
no
department
bags, though.
stores. Target is no bags.
No, Walmart has no bags.
But how are
because
you supposed to take things home?
Well, I was buying tubs, so it worked out in my favor
Why
because
don't
I
they have
just
any
put all my stuff.
bags?
You have to buy a bag. It's in one of those townships that has bag bans. So
Okay, can we have a little tangent a second on the bag bans?
no, we're not having a bag ban.
Fine, I'm
tangent.
gonna table the
We're gonna have
bag
a
bans.
bag ban
I'm gonna
tangent
rant
on
about the
Tuesday.
bag bans another
But
day.
they had. Okay, hold on. I'm having a Walmart tangent, so you're gonna have to hold off.
You can
But
have a
you know
Walmart
how-
tangent, but I can't have a bag. Okay,
No.
carry on.
So I was like walking around and I'm like, camp crafts are such a problem now because AC Moore went out of business and that's where I used to get all my crafts. And now the only place to go is Michael's and it's much more expensive. And obviously I don't want to be spending mountains of money on camp crafts. They had these like window thingers. Doesn't matter what they are. 88 cents though.
The thinger.
Right. It's like a sun catcher.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, sun catcher. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. 88 cents. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, Jocelyn, find every single one that has at least 15. So thank God I bought some bins because there I was with a stack of, 75 plastic window catchers.
Whatever that
Because
is. And you would have to have bought a bag.
I didn't buy a bag because out of principle, I was like, I am not buying a bag. I am going to use my bin.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk back to UArts.
There you go.
And so I sent you a photo of this thing called the Big Shot. And it was I believe it was every 2 years. I have a terrible long-term memory, but a really good short-term memory. But here it is. This is the Big Shot. And they would do it. I think
This is an old one.
Yeah, I'm in there somewhere. I think I'm up like on one of the balconies towards the back.
Yeah, I tried to zoom in, but it's too blurry. I can't. It's not
I was running. I think we were running late. Sounds like us. Yeah. So all the students in the school get together and they
where
go
is
to
this? Where is this physical location though?
This is Hamilton Hall. So this is inside the building with the columns, which is what most people, when they look at UArts, that's what they think of. Yep, there it is.
Okay.
So it's inside there. And then all the students that want to come out and they take this thing called the Big Shot, and then that would be in the brochure.
Okay.
Probably still is in the brochure.
Well, the final brochure.
Yes, the final brochure. So then alumni gathered together this past Friday, which was the 7th, the last day for UArts.
Right.
And I don't think they could get into Hamilton Hall, but they took the picture.
This one
right
here.
there. Yep.
So on the screen, we were showing the old picture. Now we're showing the new pictures outside the hall.
Correct.
And a whole bunch of people. Some of them are holding signs. I think some of them say like "Save UArts" and whatever else. And you didn't go to this though. I thought you were in. No, you couldn't go. You didn't have the time to go. Oh well, that's too bad. Okay, so we're looking at this picture. There might have been a minor interruption there if you're watching this or listening to this because we're having some technical problems today.
We are strangely, but yeah. So this is outside of the kind of iconic UArts building with the pillars, which is also in the logo. And this is, I guess, a combination of staff, alumni, current students, and they got together on Friday at the last day and took this photo.
Nice. Well, it is a cool thing to even do a photo like that. But I was asking before you dropped or I dropped, something dropped, that you didn't actually go.
What? No, I did not go. I was on the school field trip. Remember?
Yes,
Peter
that's
Wentz
right.
farm.
You were on a school field trip
and doing.
Yeah, you were stilt walking. Yeah, you were at you were like on the field trip on stilts. That's a picture you sent me.
Yes. So I did not go, but I know several people that did, and it looked like a nice moment, although very sad and frustrating and upsetting to many people. And I have a lot of empathy for the staff and the students that don't have a place to go to school in the fall. Or maybe they do. I guess we'll see what happens with Temple.
Yeah, and Temple might take it. We mentioned we were talking about that briefly. Temple makes sense because they have like a decent program or decent programs that would fit in this, and they have like a physical location. It makes sense for them to take over this. Some of the other options was like Drexel was mentioned too. I think they have they're going to have an intake like program for some students, but you were telling me that between like all the remaining schools and they're in Philly, it was Temple was the next best option if you were going to do some of the stuff, right?
Yeah, sort of. But,
I don't know. Maybe they'll take it over if they merge though, then they can keep faculty and stuff and they can just keep going. So, but if you were going to merge, it makes sense that Temple would do it, we're saying, because Temple already has some complementary curriculums.
I agree. But considering I am having a whole bunch of Wi-Fi problems, Steve, I think you should do the wrap up here.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's been some issues today. Hopefully it's not too distracting, but in the meantime, if you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow us at Jenkintown Arts Garage on Facebook and the Instagram. You can go to jagcast.show to get the audio version of this podcast and subscribe in your podcast player of choice. JenkintownArtsGarage.com is our main website where all of our stuff is, including our videos and the video version of this podcast. And of course, if you want to help us out monetarily, JenkintownArtsGarage.com/coffee. Buy us a coffee. Buy Chrissie a coffee. Help us keep the lights on in this place.
Yes. All right. I think that's about it. You should play the video, Steve.
Okay, we're gonna get out of here before it crashes again. See y'all next time, and I don't know. Maybe we'll have an update on UArts if anything happens. It's a real shame.
Yep, I agree. Sad.
Yeah. Well, for now, we remember the good times and we carry on. All right.
Yep.
Okay. I'll see you later.
We're learning to break the ice together.